Hi everyone, and welcome to our next lesson. And in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to continue developing our skills and put our skills to practice. I added a little bit of JavaScript in this one, but don't worry, we haven't got to the JavaScript courses yet. But this one, we're going to use jQuery for smooth scrolling. So if you click on the home button, that's the first one. The feature button, you can actually have a smooth scroll like this. And yes, and also what we do have as well is we got a library. So if let's say refresh this page, as you can see, you got your text kind of moving up there. And as you scroll down, you kind of have your content moving in from the sideways, from this side to this side. Just to kind of learn new technologies and new things as well, so that you can maybe add to your website. This is not the prettiest website, but it's all kind of useful tools to kind of learn. So as you can see, if you scroll down, you have your nav bar that sticks to the top and changes color. So if we do that again, so if you can see like that, and it narrows the padding as well. So all these kind of things we will be learning in this episode. So yes, so this is what we'll be building. And yes, so let's get started. Alrighty then. So the first thing that we're going to do is, I'm on my desktop right now. So what you do is you right click, do that. So you can say new, the new folder, and I'm just going to rename this Koi Sun. So that is going to be my folder name. All right, hopefully you guys can use whatever the text editor or IDE that you use. For me, for us, what we're going to use is VS Studio Code. For the guys that have been following the HTML course, on the second video, it shows you how to install Visual Studio Code and how to prepare the environment, so that what we can do now is we can actually go into, on the folder, we can actually right click on it and we can say open with code. So what we're going to do is we're going to press open with code. Right, so we got it open. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the font size so that you guys can actually see. I'm going to change it to let's change it to 28. So it's nice and big so you guys can see. Right, so the first thing that we're going to do now is we're going to see this window here on VS Code, your Explorer window. So we're going to right click, we're going to create a couple of folders. So the first one that we're going to create is the CSS folder. Next folder that we're going to create is JavaScript. And the next folder we're going to create is IMG. All right, so you must have three folders now. The first one is CSS. Second folder is IMG, and the last one is JS. So you right click and you say new folder. Okay, so right click, new folder. Right, the next thing that we're going to do, so you must have a CSS IMG folder for your images and JavaScript folder. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is we're going to say new file and we're going to name it index.html. All right, so once you've done that, you will have this window appearing here. So what you do is shift 1 on your keyboard, and you will have this symbol right there. Then you click it and it creates you kind of a boilerplate for your HTML. Okay. So with that, so what you must have now is your index.html, JavaScript, image, and CSS. Okay. So before we're gonna get to the JavaScript a little bit in the last part of the course, but we're gonna get that done. So, right, so the first thing that we're gonna do, you click on your CSS folder, click on it, and you right click, and you're gonna say new file. And I'm just going to rename mine style.css. You can name it whatever you want, but the convention is kind of to name it main.css or style.css. Let me just do CSS and I'm pressing enter on it. Happening. Okay. Right, I think maybe Windows is busy with an update on my system or something. Slows it down a bit. Right, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your JavaScript one and you're just going to say new file as well. And I'm just going to name mine app.js. All right. So that is just to kind of get the whole structure, the files and things just out of the way. First, second, okay. So images, we're going to get to that in a second. So you must have your 3 folders with your index. You must have your style.css inside your CSS folder and your app.js in your JavaScript folder. All right. So with that, we're going to go into our meta tags. Okay, so let's get started with that. Right, so the first thing that we're going to do is these two. Set your character set. So that's your char set. That's your character. That's fine. That you get with the boilerplate. You can type them out as well if you want to. If you don't have that. And this is the viewport that will actually scale your, makes your website a little bit more responsive on smaller screen devices. The next thing that you're going to need is your, paste it in here, is this part right here. This one makes your website compatible with the Internet Explorer and things like that. Okay. Right, so let's go continue. All right, so then we're going to name the meta. Let's do this. So this will be a little bit of a long video, so maybe 90 minutes or so. So let's try and keep that under that. So the certain things I'm just going to speed up. So meta tags, I'm just going to do this. Right, so then we're going to put name. And now in this one, what we're going to do is we're going to do the description. Description. Content. I'm just say practice website. We're going to do this. Koi Sun practice web. All right. So let's do that. And another one. I'm just so that we guys can get used to what meta tags to put in. So I'm just going to put, it's not really necessary to do this now, but for us learning, this must be smaller case. Description and keywords. For us that's learning, it's kind of handy to kind of learn everything that you can, even if we're in a practice environment, so that just do this. Right, so we got that, and the keywords, we're just going to put content, and I'm just going to put in here, let's create series. Right, guys. So, and then we must not forget to do this. Close it off. Okay. Must not forget to close the tag off. Right, so the next thing that we're going to do, right, we need a couple of things to be included, but let's quickly add our style sheet. Style sheet. Okay. So let's see if we can do this. You just type in link, CSS, pop. All right. So let me do that again for you guys to see. So with Emmet in VS Code, you just type in link like that, CSS, and enter. Okay, so then you get kind of all your things typed in for you. I'm just going to type in this extra is called text.css. Don't think this part is necessary, but I'm just in the habit of doing it. So just to kind of complete it for me personally. Right, so now we need to bring a couple of things in. Obviously, we need the font. So let me just go here. What we're going to need is the Google fonts. So Google fonts, and what we're going to need is Font Awesome. So I'm just naming it like this. So next time you do your websites, so that you can kind of, when you know there's your meta tags, here's Google Fonts, here's Font Awesome, and here is obviously your style sheet. So I'm just going to call this my main style sheet. Okay. And what we're going to need is Google Fonts, Font Awesome, and obviously the library for the scrolling, and it's called AOS Library. It's also got its own style sheet, like this AOS. So I need that as well. Font Awesome, and then obviously we need our Jquery as well. Right, both of these are basically just JavaScript libraries. I know I don't really need to use Jquery for such a small thing, because Jquery is quite a big library. But for this, for me, it's quite easily and handy just to kind of get that smooth scrolling effect. Okay, so there's a lot more that you can do with Jquery. But yes, some people say it's 2021, we don't need Jquery anymore. But I say, on some things, it's quite handy compared to others. All right, so we've got our fonts, we've got our style sheet. So yes, let's get our Google Fonts first. All right, so let's go. All right, so now that we're in our browser, what we're going to do is we're just going to type in Google Fonts. Let's go. Google Fonts. All right, so there it pops up. Nice. Nice and handy. We're going to use two fonts. The one is called Lato, so L-A-T-O. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on that. So we're not going to take the italic styling. We're going to take the 400. Okay, so we select this style. Right, the next one we're going to use is the 700. Okay, and the 900. So you have those three styles. Okay. So that this window on this side will appear right here. Okay, so let me make it a little bit bigger for you guys. 180. I think this is big enough. I think you guys can see. All right, so as you can see on your preview, we've got the 400 bold and the 900 bold. Okay, I think we only need those two, but I'm just going to take the 900 just in case. So we go back to browse fonts. And the next one that we're going to need, don't know the name quite sure, but let's just check again. Okay, so let's type it in here. It's called N-E-W-A-V-E. And it's this one here. It's only got one style. So we're just going to select this one. So as you can see, what it does, it added our letter and our new wave together. All right, so what we can do is, you see this part on the link section. What you're going to do is you're just going to select all of that and you're going to say copy. Okay, so we copy that and we go to VS Code. All right, so now that we're in VS Code, we paste it right in there and just format it for me like this. All right, so as you can see, we got your font family, new wave, and we got our font family letter right there. Okay, so let's quickly go into our style sheet. I just want to paste those fonts in there. Okay, so we're here right now, and what we can do, if you go down, you can see the CSS rules. Just copy them. Let's copy them because we're going to need them later, but let's copy them quickly because we're not going to get to the CSS right now. Copy them, and when we get here, we just paste them in there. So this is just a holder for us for now. It will kind of show an error because it's not actually within a declaration, but let's not be too concerned about that, so that we can copy them and paste them later into the relevant declarations. All right, thank you. So with that finished, let me just do this. Body, just type in a body because that red will just kind of throw me off a bit. I'm just going to paste it in there. I'm going to remove it later, but yes, let's just paste it in there. Okay. All right. So let's leave it like that. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go and get some font awesome. All right. Let's go. All right. So we're back to our browser. So let's quickly type in here font awesome. Font awesome. So we click on font awesome. Okay. All right, I'm already logged in. So if you guys want to log in, you just create an account and you log in. All right, so the next step that we're going to use is we're going to just say start for free, but you cannot do this unless you're logged in and you created your account. So then you will have this window here, and then you just press start for free, and then you will have your kit. So this is my kit right there. So I clicked it, click on that kit. There's my kit name. Right, so then it says how to use, and I'm just going to click this how to use button there, and I'm just going to say copy kit code. So you click it there, so I'm just going to click it. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're just going to paste it in right there. So now we got our font awesome included, the kit there. The next one that we're going to need is AOS. I will show you guys what that is now. So as you can see, I structured, this is my normal structure of my websites. If I use plain HTML and CSS websites with a little bit of JavaScript, it's just to kind of make things functional, kind of separate the things easily and neatly so that, you know, if someone else is coming to the website, they will actually know what is happening on my website quite easily to see it and how it works. And this is our font awesome. So let's quickly get to our AOS library. Okay, so we're back to our browser. Let's close that font awesome one. And here, what you're going to do is just going to type in AOS CDN. So let's do that. All right, then you will get this part right here is michaelsnick.github.ios. You click on this one and this will appear for you. All right, let me scroll a bit in. So as you can see, as we scroll down, what it does, it's giving this nice effect, you know, like your content. So it's quite a lightweight library for JavaScript that you can just add this nice simple animations. As you can see, you just, let's say you got your div, and then you can just add the data IOS, and you can just add the property right there. And then you have your zoom effect, your zoom in, zoom out, kind of nice libraries. What you do is you scroll way down to the bottom. And so you'll see all these effects. Go way down to the bottom. And what you will do, this is your CSS one. So we're just going to copy this part right here. So we copy it right there, this one, and we press copy. So this is the CDN, so the link. So we copy that, go to VS Code, all right, and then we paste it in there. And what we're going to do is we need to add that JavaScript as well. So inside your body tag, you're just going to create right at the bottom. What we're going to do is we're going to type in script. And our malware bytes popped up right there. Okay, let's go script and then source, just like this, and you press enter. So basically what this does is basically it gives a reference to your JavaScript file. So for us, we're just going to press that, then we're going to press JS. Okay. And then we're just going to press in the app.js. So now this links to our JavaScript file right there. But what we're going to do now is we're going to add that AOS library, just on top of it. Just remember your JavaScript, main JavaScript file just needs to be at the bottom of your thing. So, okay, I just copied that up, but I just need to copy the AOS JavaScript. Now, as you can see, it's got its script tag and it's got its source. Okay, so let's do that. So right click that and we say copy. Alright, so what you do is once you finish copy it, you just paste it in there. Alright, I know it takes a little bit long to set up, but I kind of want to explain everything to you guys, okay? But you can obviously forward the video or speed it up a bit. Right, so the next part that we're going to do is we're going to add the jQuery. So let's go to our browser. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to just close this one off, and what we're going to do is jQuery, and then you can type in CDN. So this one right here. Right, so you click the first one, jQuery, code.jquery.com. You will have this, and you're going to just choose to see the top one right there. That's the latest version. And what you want to do is you want the minified version, or you can use the slim. Let's use the slim minified because I don't know if the slim minified have the smooth scroll. Let's just go for the minified one. Right, so you click on it. Let me just show you. Click on the minified. I'm not sure if it have the scroll, but we just take the minified version and then we say copy, or you can press this one, copy to clipboard. Okay. All right, so let's paste this into our VS Code, and we're all done with the setup. All right, so that we're all done. Just paste it in there quickly. Just paste it in here on the top part right there. It shows a script source, but it's just paste it in your head section, because I think it works just a little bit better in the head section for jQuery, I think. Right, let's save that. But I do use it at the bottom as well. So if I do that, it's also fine. But for me, I'm just going to leave it in the top part. So you can choose if you want to put it here or if you want to put it there. The reason why I'm putting in the head, because it's going to load first in the head section before the JavaScript, because it kind of loads from top down. So I just want it to load quickly. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do now is just going to change the title to Koi Sun and practice website. As I said before, it's not going to be the prettiest website, but for us, it is just to kind of practice our skills, learning the different things and stuff like that. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to add an H1, and we're going to just say hello world. Okay, so what we're going to do is just want to see how everything looks like. We're going to right click and we're going to say open with live server. All right, as you can see, we got a hello world. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Let's say 180, 160. I think that will be fine. Right, so we're going to just close the jQuery off right there, and we got a hello world, meaning we all set up, and we can see our title is also in there, right there. And yes, so let's get started with the content of the page. Go back to VS Code. Right, so let's do this. Get rid of this part right here. And the first thing that we're going to need is we're going to need a header. So this is called synthetic elements. Not synthetic. Semantic elements, because they kind of describe what they are. Right, so the first thing that we're going to need is we're going to need our header and our logos, obviously, but we're not going to use a logo. We're just going to use a font for that. Right, so we have our header, but what I'm going to do is you need to give an ID. So ID of home. So what this does is, if you scroll, I'm going to explain to you guys now. If you click on the home button right there on top, it will scroll to this ID right here. So if you've got your navigation and things like that, right? let me quickly demonstrate it for you. Let me demonstrate it. All right, so as you can see, you see this home button right there. If you click it and it's got an ID of home, it will come to this header section. So let me just scroll down. If I click home, it will go all the way up to our header section with that ID. All right. And if feature have the same thing. So this one is got an, let's just F12 quickly for you guys so that you can see. If we click on that feature right there, it's got an ID of feature, but I will show all of this. I just quickly wanted to show you why we name it an ID. Give it an ID. Okay, so some of the things I will just over explain, but for the other ones, it's still learning. It's very, very handy and useful to know. All right, so the next thing that we're going to need here is we're going to need an overlay. Right, so that is to kind of give it, but anyway, let's just quickly do it and I will show you guys why. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to need the class of background dash overlay, just a div. So the reason why I put it in a dot in there is for the class, then you put background overlay and then you press enter. So what that does is create a div for you with a overlay. So I'm just going to give it a comment and I'm just going to say here background overlay. So what this does is we just kind of, I'll just put here main header. Right. So you kind of just comment out your work to let you know what is what. And yes, so we know that this is our background overlay. You just keep it like that. The next thing we're going to need is we're going to inside this, we're going to need our nav. So let's put our nav tag. So our opening and closing nav tag. And what we're going to need inside there is we're just going to use our container class. So we just create a div with an ID of container. Okay. You know what? Let's just do this like this. Just go cut it out and we actually put our nav inside that container. All right there. That's actually the proper way to do it. All right, so we're just going to put this as our main nav. So that is our main navigation. Right, so this video will be a bit long, but I kind of want to explain to you guys everything that I can. Right, so in that, what we're going to have is we're going to have another div with a class of logo. Yeah, let's just put a div nav logo. Do it like this, and inside there we're just going to add span with a class of, let's do span with a class of logo, and we're going to just add koi. So that's the logo. So logo. Right, so the next thing that we're going to need, just go down a bit more. I think let me make the font a little bit bigger. Just make it settings 27. Let's save. Right, so there we have the logo. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to need is we're going to need our URL. Right, and our list items. You guys need can remember this now. So we just need 4 of those. Just to select all of them. Okay, so then we press enter. Right, so we can type in all of them at the same time. We can just do A. Then we're going to just press enter. So what it does, it created 4 list items for us, as you can see, with simultaneously. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to put an href of home. Okay, so we type in there home. See this hashtag home? That hashtag will come to this ID right there. So the next one we're going to need is feature. So let's just do this. Feature. Okay. Next one that we're going to need is the portfolio. Last one that we're going to need is contact. So let me just fill this in quickly. Alright, so we've quickly filled that in so that we can just speed up the process. Alright, so what we've done now is we got our nav, our main nav right there. And then we got our navigation list items right here. So we got our 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of them with the relevant IDs. And we got our background overlay right there. We're going to style that in a second and stuff like that. Okay, so that's our main part. Done right there. Okay, so let's quickly see how this looks like. So we right click and we just obviously say open with live. So do that. So here we have, let me just, okay, so we got our logo right there and we got our things right here. Okay, so let's carry on. So we see everything is working. They're all inside the browser there. So let's go back to VS Code. Right, so the next thing that we're going to need is we're going to add basically our section for our, not inside our header actually. What we're going to do is, you see the background with the div and things like that. I will show you once we're done here. So let's quickly add a div with a class of home content. You can type it like this, home content with a dash like that, or you can do it like this, content, your choice. Okay, so let's put home content, and it work. Right, so that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to put in a paragraph inside here. So paragraph. Let's give the paragraph a class of bold text. Bold. Okay, and then we're going to put in there web design and development. Okay, and then we're going to put in one right here. Oh no, let's put in. Give it a class of text. Okay, and we can just name this Koi Sun. Just like that. And underneath it, as you can see, this is our section, but right underneath it, we're just going to put an A tag with a class of button and button large. We're still going to create these classes and obviously margin top. We're going to create these classes ourselves. So is this one? Put this also mg top. This one. Okay, so in right there. What did I? Right, so this one is got a hash for now because we don't want it to go anywhere. Or we can link it to YouTube or whatever you guys want. We're going to do the target attribute of blank because we don't want it to refresh the same page. We want it actually to go to another page, and we can put in here just contact. All right, so that is that. So this is our hero. Okay, I'm just going to do this action button. Let me link to YouTube just to some nation. Let me just put YouTube in there, HTTPS linking to YouTube, that action button, just to kind of make it functional. All right, so that is our header. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to style this in sections. So I'm going to, once I'm finished with the home section, I'm going to move to the next section. Otherwise, we're going to do all the HTML and then the CSS. So let's kind of do them the one section, and then we style them and then go on to the next one. Right, so let's go to our style sheet, and what we're going to do now is, in our style sheet is we're going to start at the top. All right, sorry about that. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do our universal selector, and what we're going to do is we're going to just give a margin of 0. So what that does, it's reducing all margins and everything. So the margin is 0. We need to set the padding to 0. And what we're going to do is we're going to do box sizing of border box. Let's do that. Box sizing of border box. All right. So that's it. So the new thing that we're going to be learning about CSS, we're going to be working with variables. Variables in CSS. Very, very exciting. So what we're doing when we want to use variables in CSS is basically if you want to add a color or a font or something that you're going to use right throughout your CSS, you kind of want to add it in this part of the file. Okay, so let's do our root. So this is what you do. You have your root file right there, and then you can just do this. But the syntax that you can use is double like this. And for me, I'm just going to say primary color like this. And that is just going to be hashtag to be. To be, okay. So the next thing that you're going to do is we're going to add our secondary color. Right, our secondary color, what we're going to do is going to be the C1883C. Right, so there we got our primary color and we got our secondary color right there. Okay, so very, very nice. So right through our website, right through our CSS, we can just refer to this like this. Okay, so let me just let me do this as well. Say primary font this thing. No, let me do this. Just don't want to. Yeah, let me keep it just to the colors for now. All right, so we got our primary color and we got our secondary color for now. But if you guys want to use it, let me just use it. Let me just use it. Primary font. Just gonna do this. Copy this. No, this is our secondary font. Just do this. Primary font and secondary font. Secondary font. So let's do this, and then we paste it in there. Paste it in there as well. Right, so what we're going to do for our font family, for our body, that's our primary font, and what we're going to do, just type in variable like this, dash dash, primary font. Boom. That's it. It kind of will reference this right there for you. So, yep, quite easily and handy to do that as well. All right, so the next thing that we're going to need is we need to add a background color to our body. So let's quickly do this. We need to get images as well. But anyways, let's quickly add a background. And what we're going to do is URL. Okay, so we can dash. So what we do now is we're going out of the CSS. You see the CSS is right there. We're going out of it. Then we're going to our image folder. And we don't have any images. All right, so let's quickly go and get ourselves some images. I think we're going to just select all of them. So let's quickly do this and go select images. Right, in our browser, what we're going to do is we're just going to type in PixaBay. So let's do this, PixaBay. Click on it. All right, I have an account, but you don't have to have an account in order to download images. Like a kind of nice free copyrighted, free from copyrighted and royalty images. So you kind of can use them commercially as well. Oh, cute. Very cute. Look at that fella. Very, very cute. Anyways, let's continue. Got distracted there. The first thing we can do is we're going to type in Kalahari. Yes, we type in Kalahari. So we need a couple of photos. So I'm just this is our main header right here. No, it's not this one. Okay, but I want you guys just to, let's start from the top. We're going to need this photo as well. So let's click on this one. You see free for commercial use. And we're going to click on the free download button right there. All right, so what we do is we right click there. I'm selecting the 1280 by 875. We click download. We obviously select our Khoisan folder, the folder that you have on your desktop, Khoisan images, and then what we do is you just paste it in there. I renamed mine port TF. One is for my portfolio 1.jpg. Okay, so let's do that. Right, we go back. Next one that we have is gonna take this Gemsbok, in what we call it in Afrikaans. So let's just take this one as well. Download. It's a bit tedious, so we're just gonna download, I think, 6 of the portfolio image. We're just gonna do the port 2. So save that. Back. Take this one as well. Download. One. Name this one port 3. Right. I'm just going to download a couple of images from this, but you can obviously choose. But let's just carry on. Let's just carry on. If you guys want to skip this part, you can. For the guys that want to see the whole process, I'm just going to do it live. So, okay, so let's take this one, the Springboks, download 1281. Port it's gonna go port 4. Need 6 of them. Gonna take the background and things like that as well. So background 4, portfolio 4. 2 more. We can actually choose anyone. Let's just take this as well. Download. We're at 43 minutes. This is actually going to save us quite a bit of time if we kind of take the images right now, so we don't have to take them later. Right, so that's port 5. 1 more. Take this Eland. Afrikaans. Load. And this is a Khoisan right there. Port 5, port 6. Right, so we got our 6. Now we just need that background. Okay, so we search the Kalahari. Now I need that image for our background. The one that I had on the previous one. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Right, so this is our main header page. So what we're going to do right there is I'm just going to name it. That you click free download. I'm just going to take the bigger size, 920 by 1080, and I'm just going to name it BG1. So meaning background 1. So I'm just going to save that. Then we need one more. Let's go Kalahari Desert. Just type in Kalahari Desert. This is our last image, I think. See, what do we have? Just let's take this one. Let's take this image. One more. Take this one. Too narrow, I think. Not the one I'm looking for. So let's go. Alright, let me just take this one. Take the 910 by 1080, and we're just going to call this city. BG2. Let's call it BG2. Okay, so let's save that. Hopefully it's saved. Right, so with that, let's go back to VS Code. Alright, so in our images, what we're going to do is we're going to just give it a background of 2, the BG2 that we have chosen. Alright, so let's add in our properties right now. We're going to do a no repeat. We're going to do a shorthand. Center, we center it from the top, center it from left and right, so we kind of center the image. And what we want to do the image to do, we want it to cover the space. Alright, and then we're going to put it background attachment fixed. In the comment section, you guys can just let me know if you like the format of this, where I explain things a little bit more detail, actually go through the whole process, so that if you guys don't like it, you want me to kind of leave out picking the images and things like that, you guys can just let me know. Alright, so let's quickly style give it our home, things like that. Alright, so let's quickly do this. Our H1, our H2, our H3, 4, and H5s. Okay, so what we're going to do, I don't think I'm going to use H6s, but let's do it anyways. We're going to do a font weight of 700. Okay, we're going to do a line height of 1.2. Text form, we want them to be all uppercase. Okay, the next thing we can need is the margin bottom. So in order to kind of quickly type it with Emmet, you just put in margin, like MA and BOTM. So basically what it does, it highlights the top part and that part, so you don't have to type everything, marbot, and 1 rem. So that means 16 pixels, because the browser's default font size is 16 pixels and 1 rem equals 16 pixels. Okay. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to this. All these pop-ups. Come on, guys. What is this Windows today? All right. Okay, so with that in mind, so let's quickly do this. All right, so the first one, this is going to be called our standard. Copy it right here. I will explain it. Okay, basically what I've done is I just added a table of content. The one is for general styling, so I'm just going to put in there general styling. So this is basically our general styling part. Right, and then we're going to add a number 2 for utilities. Okay, so utilities. So we're going to do, I'm just going to copy and paste this. This is our utilities. So basically what this does is just makes it easier if you look through your code to kind of know where you are and to see what you need to change and where to change it, kind of easily to find your things. All right, so the first one that we're going to have here is, while we're still there, a horizontal rule. We're just going to put a margin bottom of 1 rem as well, and we're going to give it a width 15%. Our paragraph tags, just put it on top here. Just the general stylings that I quickly want to do, as I kind of want to speed up the process. So line height, we're just going to put 1.6, and the font weight, we're going to do is 400. Okay, and then what we're going to do is our A tags, what we're going to do is text decoration none. So let me quickly show you in our browser. So right here, this is our A tags right there, and we want to remove basically the bottom part right there, the underlines, and we also want to remove kind of the general styling of the page, and then we're going to style everything. Okay. Right, so we put our text decoration as none, and the next thing we need is text transform. As well, we want it to be uppercase. Right. Next thing what we want to do, let's just leave it like that. All right. So now the next thing we're going to do is remove the dotted lines in front of the A tags. List style. What we do right there is list style. Oh, okay. Let's just type it out because like that, list style of none. Okay. Right. Now we need our utility classes. That one, what we've typed is margin top. Let's do that of margin top. We need 2 rem, and another one is mg margin of none. Just say margin 0. But we don't need this. We kind of already set it our margin to. Okay. So let's quickly go to this. Let's see. Did that take? So let's quickly see this. Anyways, let's start with this, our main header right there with the ID of home. Okay, so let me go to the top here and put number 3. Header ID of home. Okay, so let's copy this. So number 3 is this. Okay, so our number 3 is header number 3 of home. Okay, so let's start styling it. Okay, so hashtag, it symbolizes ID. Right. So what we want to do there is we want to select that ID. So that's why the hashtag is there. So hashtag is basically selecting this part right there, saying ID of home. Okay. So what we can do is position relative. Then we're going to give it a background color, a background image actually. Right, of a URL. Image. BG1. Yes, BG1. There's no repeat. Yes. Center. And you want it top. Then we want it cover. So let's see if it works. Not working because we have a problem. You see this part right there. Yes, the style.css is perfect and it's correct, but we need this. We need to add the folder that it's in, otherwise it's not going to recognize it. Okay, so just go to your main style.c right there and just add a dot right in front just to kind of reference the folder as well. Right, so let's see how this looks like in our browser. Let's go to Firefox. Alright, so what we have is we've got our style sheet and we have our background that is fixed. And then we obviously got our Quasana right there and we've got our styling, everything happening. Very, very nice. So this is basically the fixed background that we have right there. Alright, I had a problem with the BG1. I re-downloaded it. As you can see, it's right there on top right there, but we're going to do all the styling right now, but this in the background is quite nice. It needs to stay there. Okay, anyways, so let's continue with our CSS. Alright, so we're back in our CSS, and what we're going to do now is we're just going to add a min height. So basically what this does is gives a minimum height of, we want 98 view height. So just imagine your screen. Let me just go to the browser quickly. Just imagine your screen divided into 100. Okay, so this is 100 right there. And what you have is from there to the full screen is 100. So basically 98% of the screen will be taken up. So that's what we want right there. Okay, so we just kind of, as you can see, it doesn't have the overlay yet, but we're going to give it kind of that tintish right there. I just kind of wanted to explain everything to you guys, and as well so with the view width as well, VW, imagine this being 100%. So not from the top of the browser, from this window right there. Okay, from here till there it's 100. So basically if you put 20, so it means 20% of that width will be taken, and I can carry on with that. But anyway, let's continue with our CSS. I kind of want to teach you guys everything. If I over explain things, it's just so that you guys can be able to, just learn from it. So if you don't like this part, just kind of move it ahead and things like that. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do that background overlay. So let's see this part right there. We want to style this background overlay. Okay. So what we're going to do, since we position this relative, and we're going to position the background overlay absolute. So what we need is we need to put the dot for class the hashtag symbol as an ID. Okay, so we put background overlay. What we're going to need there is we need to give it a position of absolute. So the background will be positioned absolute within our home container, basically. In our home. Okay, so let's give it a background color. What we're going to do is we want it to be transparent. So what we're going to do is we're going to have it RGBA, which means red, green, blue, and alpha. And what we're going to need is we need the slack, because the black is going to be 0, 0, 0, And the last one that we're going to need is the alpha. We're going to use 0.4. So what does this mean? This means it's going to be black. So white is 255, 255, 255, and 255. That's white. Okay. And the black is kind of the opposite spectrum. Okay. The next thing we're going to need is we need to tell it it's where it needs to start. It needs to start with the top part of the home, and it just start at the left side. Okay, and then we want to give it a width 100% and a height of 100%. Okay, so let's see how this looks like. As you can see, we give it a tint right there, just to kind of dim the image a little bit down so that the font and text and everything stands out a little bit more. But let me show you with other positioning. So let's say we've taken off the position in the width and the height right there. Let's quickly show you. Let's go back to Firefox. As you can see, it doesn't even show up. It's right there in the corner right there. Let's do the width. Let's go back to VS Code. Let's do the width only. Save. Go back. Anyways, let's do this. Right, so let's save it. So let's go back and see. Okay, it did do the full width. Okay. Alright, so that is our background done. And the next thing we're going to move on to is we're going to move on to our navigation. So let's quickly do that. Alright, so our navigation. So we styled this part right there, and we're going to move into our container. Okay, but let's style the container quickly. That will be under our utilities, because we're going to need it for other things as well. So on the container, what we want it is to give it a margin of 0, top and bottom, auto, left and right. And then what we want to do is we want to give it a width as well. We want to give it a width of 1200 pixels. You can make it whatever you want, but 1200 pixels more or less the norm, because there's people with much smaller screens, and you kind of want to keep everything nicely centered as well. So if we look at our browser, we can see how it looks like. As you can see, the container class just moved all this right to the center. See, it's got a little gap right there. So if I need to move to 100%, you'll see that it's 1200 pixels from here to about there. Okay, so it centers it quite nice and neat in the middle. Right, so let's do this 150 so that you guys can see it. Okay, so let's go back to VS Code. And so that's that. Let me just do this, because this thing needs to be inside. Okay, but anyways, let's move on. Right, so what we want our nav to be. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select our navigation, and we're going to give it a position of fixed. So what we want it to be is we want it to be fixed where it is, and actually not move from where it is. Okay, so position fixed. Want it to be at the top, 0, left, 0. We're going to give it a width of 100%. Padding, give it some padding of 1 rem, top and bottom, 0 left and right. Okay, and then we give it a Z index. So that means Z index is basically like the higher the number, the more on top of it is, on top of the bottom part it is. So basically 1, if I put a z-index of 2, z-index 2 will be on top of 1, etc, etc, etc. So basically the layers of the thing. So I'm just going to put the of 99, so just to kind of make sure it always stays on top of everything else. And so we're going to add a transition here as well, of all, because if we scroll down you will see that there's a little bit of a transition from the background. So we're just going to put ease as well there, so that it will transition from transparent to black, and we want that transition to be as smooth as possible, not just like instant. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so let's quickly look. Put our nav right there, and then this. Okay, what we want to do is we want to display the nav as flags, so this two will become flags items. Okay, so let's do this, and we edit underneath here. We're going to display flags. Okay, flags direction. This is the default direction, is row. So when you say display flags, it will automatically display it in row. But for us, we want to just remind ourselves what is really happening there. So display flags, the flags direction row, align items center. Okay. Right, we're an hour in, and I'm just going to take it easy for now, just kind of carry on. So you guys can obviously tell me if it's way too long for you. Justify content, we wanted space between. Okay. Right, so let's look at how that looks like. Since I put the position fixed there, I think I just need to give this max width. 12,200 pixels and margin 0 auto. Cannot spell. Right, so let's do that. So we got this all styled up. We got the nav done. So the next thing that we need is the nav. Oh. Alright, so the thing that we can need is nav logo. We're going to do a flex of 2 on the nav logo. The flex of 2, so it means we want it to take up twice as much width as the UL. Okay. So the next thing we need is obviously the UL. And what we're going to do with the UL is we're going to give it a flex of 1. So it means I just want it to take up half the space basically of the flex there. And we're going to display this one as flex as well. So we're going to make the list items, the LIs. So basically if we display this flex, we're going to make this basically flex items. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 items. Okay. So flex, and then we're going to do flex direction of row. Okay, so that's the default, but we add it anyway so that we can know. And we're just going to justify the content space between. Okay, if we do a space around, what will happen is it will give space on the right hand side and things like that, and we don't want that because we want it to kind of be flush to the end as well. And then we're going to do align items center. Okay, that's our UL. So let's see how that looks like in the browser. As you can see right there, that's where our item is. It needs to kind of move over to center right there, and I need to fix that quickly. Alright, so let's see what is wrong. That check here. This with the width. Put it with the 100% there. Okay, let me just check what is wrong and I'll let you guys know. Okay, so all we had to do is we needed to remove the left. Otherwise, it's going to be stuck to the left right there. So basically, we got our container right there with our nav. All right, so we styled that correctly. So we got our nav logo flex 2, then the flex 1. All right. Okay, so let's continue. And so what we're going to do is the next one is going to style the LIs, the list items, in A. So it means that is basically what we're doing is now the UL, LA, and then the A tags. Okay, so we're going to style that as well. What we're going to do is we're going to give it a font size of 0.85 rem, so that's smaller than 16 pixels. And we're going to give it a font weight of 700. Let's see. We've chosen 3 fonts. We chose 400, 700, and 900. Okay, so 700 is fine. Okay, then we're going to style the logo. So let's style the logo. Yeah, that's it. Nav logo, then logo. Let me just do this. Nav logo. Just in case we have another logo somewhere else. Okay, so we're going to do the font size of 2.1 rem. Okay, then we're going to have the font family. We're going to choose the variable that we had, and we're going to just choose secondary, not the color, font. Okay, so we choose the secondary font for that. It's going to be the new wave, and we're going to do a text transform, uppercase, font weight of, let's make it very bold and see how that looks like, and letter spacing of 0.22 rem. Okay, let's see how that looks like in the browser. Let's open it up. So as you guys can see, let me just make it a little bit bigger. So we got our font right there. Just probably obviously going to change the colors and things like that. Okay, so let's change this to white. So let's go back to VS Code. So the logo, we're just going to say color of white. This one as well, color of C. Voila. Oh, where did I go? Refresh. Okay, so we got a navigation right there. So we got a home. Bigger so you guys can see better. Like this. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to style this to move it right in the center there and style it. Okay. Alright. So let's add this hero content right there. So let's style this quickly. Right. So let's see. So good luck to you guys for making it this far in the video. So let's quickly just style it. So let's not take too much of your time. But we're here to learn. So if it takes you the whole day, you know, it's good because you're learning. You're learning. And tomorrow you don't need to watch a 2-hour video on how to code because you can do it yourself. So this takes kind of a little bit longer because you have to explain things. So that probably you can do this in less time. But normally when you design a website, it will probably take you a day or two to kind of get everything going. Right. So the home content, what we want to do is we want to display this in Flex. Okay, flex direction in a column. Let's do this flex direction. We want to do it in a column, and we want to justify the content center, and we want to align the item center. You know, I prefer Flex over Gridbox, over the grid system. It's just much easier for me to work with. But the grid is quite nice and handy as well, but I prefer, you know, what you want to use and what you get comfortable with, that's what you're going to use, end of the day. All right, so let's see how this looks like in our browser. Let's open Firefox. And voila! Wow, guys, we're doing it. As you can see, we got our logo right there and our thingies. And then we got our development right there. And all we need to do is we need to kind of make this a little bit bigger. So congratulations, man, for making it this far. I'm excited. Things are happening. We're almost there. Right, so let's continue to our browser. To VS Code. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change this bold text. Okay, so let's quickly go in here. So we're going to, let me just do this. Copy this down, remove this inner, and just put the bold text in there. Just want to copy this part and just put the bold text, because that's the big text that we're going to change, and we're going to say text transform. We're going to do it to uppercase. Yes. We want to do a font size. I normally like to do the font size at the top. The font, all the font styling I like to do in the first couple of pages. First few lines, sorry, and then the font weight. Font weight, we want to do it 700. Okay. Now let's add letter spacing. Go on. Letter spacing of 0.25 rem. Nice. Then margin 0.4 rem. That means actually right around 0.4 rem. Okay, so let's see how this looks like in Firefox. So as you can see, we got our web development right there. So what do you guys think we need? We still need to change the color. Right, so let's go back to VS Code. So just under that, okay, we change the color to, man, this pop-up windows today. Okay, so now as you can see, it's white, but it doesn't show. Why? Because the overlay is just, how can I put it? The overlay is over the background, but not, but let me show you why. So the overlay is basically over the text, and I want the text to be in front of the overlay, and all I need to do there is I need to just change the Z index to Z index. I will change to 1. Okay, so let's see. And as you can see, now it's in front of the, yes, now it's in front of the overlay. Okay, so let's carry on. Let's move on. Right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the text large. Okay, so let's just copy this down. Change this to text. Text large. Text large. Okay, so that's our text right there. We change it to text large. Okay, so let's remove this. So what we're going to do, we're going to do basically more or less the same thing. So let me copy this. And we need to change the font family. Right, font family. Change the font family to secondary font, I think. Yes, the variable. add the variable again and say secondary font. Easy peasy. But now the problem is I don't want this to be too rem. I want it to be a little bit bigger, I think. Let's make it 4 rem because I want it kind of to stand out a bit. Right, uppercase 2 rem. Add the spacing and margin as well. You know what? I'm going to put the Z index on this one right there. So then it's always in front of the so on the home content itself. So basically what I'm doing is I'm putting the Z index on this, and everything inside it is got that same Z index. Okay. Right, so home content, we change the text large. So let's see. What? All right, let's quickly. You see the font changed, everything changed, but okay, I just changed the Z index on both of them to 1. So basically what I've done is let me just go back here. I've just put a Z index here and a Z index there. As the video gets too long, I don't want to kind of troubleshoot the whole time. Right, so the next one we're going to do is we're going to do our A tag, but where is it? That's the question. Very good question. Let me do this. Take the action button and put it in here. See what that does. And voila, we got our button right there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to style our utility classes. As you can see, if we go, let's go here. Right, as you can see, we give it button, button large, and margin top. So obviously the margin top is working because we designed the utility classes for it. So let's go up. You can see under utilities, we got our margin top right there, and we have our container, but we need to style our button. So I'm just going to quickly pause it, and otherwise the video gets too long. All right, I've quickly done that. Right, so what I've actually done, I created the button. I just give it the background color of our variable, secondary color. So let me show you again. Our secondary color is this one right there. So go back to this secondary color and color. Right. So then I just put the font size, the font weight, the letter spacing, transform it to uppercase, background color, to transition, to change the background, 250 milliseconds. And we obviously wanted to add a cursor, so it's a pointer. And we wanted to display a block and border radius of 0.5 rem. So that means kind of the border. And then we just added some padding for large and small, so the button can be bigger or smaller. I'm just going to do this and add the color as well. All right, so let's see how this looks like. As you can see right there, I need to change the Z index for this as well. Button, let's do this Z index of 1. Let's see if this works. Right, so it works. But the button is a bit big, so if you click on it, as you can see right there, it changes the styling and things like that. So let's see if we can make it a smaller button and see how that looks like. I want to speed up the video. Let's make it button small. So let's see. So up, that's how the smaller one looks like. Okay, so that we have our little website right there. I'm just going to drop this down a little bit, just move this a little bit more down. Okay, so let me, so that's on 100%. So that's basically how it looks like. I'm zooming it just a little bit in for you guys. So it might look different on your screen, but this is on 100% and this is a little bit zoomed in so that you guys can see a little bit better. But maybe I must just keep it at 100%. Okay, so let's do that and just move. Because actually only things that you need to see is basically in the text editor and what we do there. I don't want to do Yes, I wanted to do this. Let's go back down here. I want to change this also to maybe 90. Save it and let's see. Just to move it a little bit down. That's it. Just move it a little bit more center-ish. Right, so we got our button right there. So we press home is obviously the top one. Okay, so let's add our next pages. Okay, let's continue. Right, so we did all our styling for our header. So let me just add. Right, so the next section that we're going to add section that we're adding is called a snippet. So that was the snippet that we're going to add. So let me just put a section, and then we're going to give it a class because we don't need to link to this one of snippet. Okay, then inside this there's actually a shortcut. Let me just show you guys. All right, so the next thing you just put the greater than, then we put in a container, then we do this again, and we add a block quote. Inside that block where we want a paragraph. How cool is that? So basically it's like a shortcut so that you can basically put all your things in one line. So let me just show you again. So basically this just shows you that will be on the next line will be a container, and inside that will be a block quote, and inside that will be a paragraph. Okay, so easy and handy. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this in there. A single tree cannot make a forest, an African proverb. Very, very, very nice. Okay, so let me just call this the snippet. Let's quickly style this in CSS. Right, so let's quickly style this in CSS. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to just add number 4, and we're just going to call it snippet 1. Because I think we have 2 snippets. Right, so snippet 1, so we're just going to copy this. Let's copy that. Move it a bit down. Sorry about that. Move it a bit down, and we're just going to call this number 4. Call this snippet 1. Quite exciting stuff. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do in snippet 1, we're going to give it a background color. Snippet. Okay, let's give it a background color. Okay, we need it padding. So the color light, I think it's white. Let me do this. Let's see how this looks like. Padding top and bottom 0 and that. Okay, let's see. So if we go down, we can see our little African proverb there, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something more. So let's go continue with our styling. Let's go back to VS Code. Right, so we're halfway there. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to style the block quote. So basically this part right there. So we styled this part right there, basically the section. Okay, but what we're going to do now is we're just going to style the block quote. Okay, so block quote, what we're going to do is we're going to give it a border. Okay, right around 5 pixels, solid, and a variable. And put the secondary color. Come on. 30. Color, come on, you can do it. Yes. Alright, you can do the border secondary color. You can put the padding, 2 rem and 1 rem. Gonna give it a color. The color is fine. The black is fine. And the font size of 1.5 rem, and then we obviously want to align the text in the center. Okay, so text align center. Nice. We progress, people, progress. Right, so let's quickly see how this looks like. Refresh it. Let's move, and voila, we got our African proverb. right there. Okay. So what we're going to do now is, ooh, nice man, we're progressing. But we want to change this as well. As you can see, it's fixed, but we want to move it, but we will get to that in a sec. Okay. So we got our African progress. A single tree cannot make a forest. And a little few of them cannot make a forest if you look at this. Anyway, that's enough stalling or whatever it's called. Let's move on to our next part. The next section that we have is called the feature section, I think. So let's go to section. We put an ID, the pound symbol, or feature. Okay. And voila. Right, very, very, very nice. But you know what? Let's do what we did on the previous one. So we can just kind of practice. Container. Then you put another one there. And when we put a div with a class of feature, content, and inside that we want to do a section header. Okay. Wow. All right. So what we have done now is when we gave it an ID. Let me just call this our feature. Basically the feature, and then we have our container inside that. Let's do this, and then we have our content right here, and inside the header what we're going to do is we're going to put an h2 of calling it feature, and then we put a horizontal rule. You remember the horizontal rule that we styled, and then we're going to put in a paragraph, and inside this paragraph what we're going to do is we're going to give it some fake dummy text of 50, just like that. All right. And the next one that we're going to do is we're going to do a feature box. This. So there's the feature content. Okay, so in the next part what we're going to do is we're doing a feature box. Let's just rename this feature content. Alright, so let's put it here, our header. And here is the feature box. Okay, I'm just quickly gonna type this out and I will explain it because it's just gonna keep in this video it's over 90 minutes already. Okay, so I just want to show you guys what we're going to do. So this is where we are right now, and this is where we're going. So as you can see, this is our feature, and this is going to be our feature box 1, our feature box 2. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to display this section as flags, and then this is going to be one flags item, and this is going to be one flags item, and this is going to be one flags item. Right, so we display them flags, okay? But this part right here is going to have 3 items in them. It's going to have this item, this item, this item. So this one is going to display flags as well on its own, and this one is going to be displayed as a column, and this item here is going to be displayed flags as well, but it's going to be displayed in a row. Okay, so I'm quickly going to add this Flexbox and this one. This is the one that we added already, so this is the one we're going to do now. Okay, just wanted to show you guys. Alright, so basically what I've done now is I created a div with a feature box. Inside it we have our one card right here. Then we have our second card and our third card as well. So let's you see then inside that one card what we've done is we added our paintbrush right there. So let me show you how to edit the icons. So I'm just gonna, you can just pause the video and then you can just copy it right there. I really don't want the videos to be too long. So it's a card and then a card icon. So what I've done is I just named card icon and then I added this here and then the card text with this right here. But let me show you how to add the icon. Okay, let's go to our browser as you can see, this icon right here. This is the website for now. There's the icon right there. There's no styling happening right here, but I will quickly show you how that works. So let's quickly go to Font Awesome. So what we do is we search Font Awesome. Right. And what we do is Font Awesome normally takes a while to load. And what we're going to do is we're going to search for icons. Just click on icons. And you click on the free one. And you're going to just say pencil. Obviously the pencil alt. But for what I've chosen there is actually the paintbrush. The paintbrush one, yeah. And what you do is you just click on this part right here. Just click on it and basically it copies it for you. Okay. So let's go back to VS Code. And when you get here, you just basically paste it in here. Now the FA 2 times, what that does is actually make the icon 2 times larger. Okay. So you can obviously add your own icons as you need. So the first feature box have 3 card items. So 1, 2, and obviously 3. Alright, so we got our 3 right here. So we got our card 1, card 2, and our card 3. So this is the first box. So what we can do is we can just close it right there, make it smaller, and we can have our next feature box also just here. So we got that 2. Okay, so basically what we've done is we got our feature box 1 and a feature box 2, and then we have our card 1 as well in feature box 2, and we have the same thing, but all we've done is we just changed the icon and changed the text and obviously the lorem ipsum and card 2 and card 3. Okay, so let's see how this looks like in the browser. Okay, we still got Font Awesome open. Now, as you can see, all of them are basically underneath each other. There's no flags being displayed and. So yes, so let's quickly do our CSS styling on this. Okay, so let's go to VS Code. So let's save this and let's go to our styling. So, okay, so let's go on top. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put 5 and we're going to put feature. Okay, so feature. So let's copy this part and move all the way down. Let's add our number 5 feature. Okay, very, very easy. So let's just style this. Now, as you can see, you can kind of easily now, so if you browse over, you can kind of easily see where everything is and all the styling and stuff like that. Obviously with Sass, which I'm gonna make a video about how to use it and stuff like that, or even make this code a little bit less messy as well. But yes, we're gonna get to that part. Okay, so the next thing in the feature, what we're going to do is we're going to select our feature. Okay, with the ID. So you see the ID, let's go back up. We select our feature, that one right there. We selected the ID. We're going to give it a background color of white. Right, so we're going to give it a color of white. Let me just white. Okay. The next one that we're going to do is we're going to give it a min height. So what that means, the minimum height it must be, we want to give it 40 wheel height, which means more or less 40%. Okay, and then we're going to add the feature, the paragraph. Okay, let me show you the feature. All this text right there. We're going to do is, what's the best thing? Section header and paragraph. But you can also select it like this, but it's time. Let's give it just a font size of 0.85 rem. Okay. The next thing that we're going to need is the feature. Let's quickly see how this looks like so far. Let's see. So as you can see, we've changed this. So obviously I'm not zoomed. This is on 100%. Ooh, it's a bit too small, don't you guys think? I need to make that a little bit bigger. Right, so there's a bit too small. But anyway, we've given this kind of the background of white. And I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's just take our dev tools out. This tool's right here. And what we're going to do, as you can see, it even shows us what font we're using. Very nice, and even shows us the font, the two different fonts that we have there. Okay, so let's click on this one right here. And what I want to do is I want to see what font will look better. See, 1.4 rem will not look too bad for the paragraphs. A bit too much. 1.2. Let's make it 1.2. Okay, so let's go to VS Code to make the font size 1.2 rem. So let's save that and see how it looks like. So that way you kind of can easily change your font, without going back and forth too much. Okay, so it shows us there. Change the font size to 1.2. Okay, so let's get cracking. Let's continue. Right, so the next thing what we're going to do is the feature content. As you can see, this part right there, we're going to display flex now. Okay, so let's do that. Feature content. And we're going to do is display. Flex. Actually, when I learn, I don't like when the videos are a bit too short and the guys don't explain everything. So then I have to go watch somewhere else for the information. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to display flex direction in row. So we want it to go from 1 to 3. We want to go this way. Right? So 1, 2, 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to give it padding 6 rem top, 0 rem on the left, 3 rem at the bottom, 0 on the right, 3 rem bottom, and 0 on the left. And what we want to do is we want to give it grid column gap. Let's spell the gap column. Alright, so what we're going to do is we want to give it a row gap of 2 rem. Let's give it a row gap of 2 rem. So let's see how this looks like so far. So as you can see, what we have done now is, let's see. Okay, so we've added this right here. Voila. So we go to display flex, but now the problem is this takes up too much space compared to the other flex items. So I'm just going to change the flex styling right here. Okay, so let's quickly go to VS Code. And what we're going to do is that section header. This part right here, section header. Section header, we want to let it be flex 1. Okay. And then we want the other parts, feature box, the feature box. We want this also to be a flex 1. Okay. So as we can go back, we'll see this feature box. So let's make it smaller. Basically what I've just minimized them all. so that you can see this one I displayed flags. So this will be a flags item, this will be a flags item, this will be a flags item. So I'm going to do this flags 1 and this also is flags 1 so that they will be even. So hopefully that's worked. Let's go back, see if it works, and voila, it is working. Okay, but the problem for me is the gap between them are not good enough. Okay, so let's change the gap. So it must be column gap. So let's see if we can change that. Row gap and then column gap. Column gap of 2. I didn't even put the RAM units. Okay, so let's do this. Go back, refresh. Now, as you can see, what they did is actually give a space between this. I'm not sure. Let me just go back and do something quickly. Let's just comment this out. Save it. Now, as you can see, column gaps makes the gaps between this one like this. So if you add another, but we're going to see this in this one as well. But if you add another row, another flags item basically with a row, then the column gap, the row gap will be actually between here. The column gap is between these two right here. Okay, so let's quickly style this as well. So this is our feature, and then we're going to style this. I kind of over-explained things, but I kind of want you guys to learn so that it will be really handy in useful learning sessions, not just for the fun of it. Okay, because you guys don't want to know why things are happening the way it does. Okay, so the next item that we're going to style is inside our, this is done. So inside our box, we're going to style our cards. Okay, so let's style our card in our box. And what we're going to do is we're going to display that as flags. Display flags. Okay. As you can see, I use Flexbox quite a lot. Very easy and nice to style your items and things like that. Okay, so flags, so the reason why we did that, let me show you. So if we refresh that, so as you can see now the icon and that heading right there. This icon is on the one side and this was on the other side. You see? So we displayed those two as flags, because if we go to our card, you will see this is our card and this is a flags item and this is a flags item. Okay, so handy and neat. Right, so let's go back. All right, so what we want to do is we want to style the card icon. Okay, so let's do that. So card icon. What we want to do is we want to display flags as well. Okay, display flags. As you can see, we're going to do justify content center, and we're going to put a width 10 rem and a height of 10 rem. Let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. So I know some people don't like the clickety clack of the keyboards. Let me know, and I will try and minimize that as well. So let's quickly go back to Firefox, refresh. As you can see, what we have done is we isolated the icon right there. So if we go to our dev tools and we click on the icon, you will see the icon right there. You will see the width. So you see if we add the width, it kind of give it nice spacing between it and the minimum height. The height didn't even really do anything, but we just put it in there in case, because we kind of want to make it a block. Just like that. Okay. Alrighty then, so why doesn't it look? Let me just give this a background color. Just want to see something. background color of, let's say, black. There's basically the icon right there. So let's make this 5 rem, 2 rem, you see, 5. Okay, so let's leave it like that. So now you can see where the icon is, but we don't need actually the height in it. Okay, so we can remove that. Let's refresh and actually go back to our VS Code. We don't need the height. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do, let's give it a color. Let's give it a color of variable. This secondary color. Okay. So voila, we've done some styling there. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to give it a column gap, just to give it space between them of at least, let's go. Let me show you. Display flags, we're going to do a column gap of 2 rem. Let's see how that looks like. So if we refresh, need to put a row gap. My bad. Let's go back. Column gap kind of give it the space on the left and the right. And a row gap gives it at the bottom, top and bottom. Okay, so let's put 2 rem. Let's go back. Refresh this. Right. So this lesson is all about Flexbox. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to display. I've just seen here something. Display blacks. Right. So we display flags. So basically, this is this box item right here. So we're going to display the different cards in flex box as well. So in the flex direction on this one, instead of a row, what we're going to do is we're going to do them in a column because we want to go down, and then we're just going to give it a column gap of 2 rem and a row gap of 2 rem. There's another shortcut which actually is called gap. So if you put 2 rem, that means it does the same thing, but I think some browsers don't support gap. Okay. And that's why I do it like this. But if you want to do, let's say, only the columns, so top and bottom, so we're just going to do that. It's the columns, and then you can do 1 rem for the rows as well. Okay. So for us, we're just going to do it like this. I think some browsers don't support the gap part. Okay, so let's do this and see how it looks like. We're almost at 2 hours in this video. Right, so basically what I've done now is, as you can see, there's more neat spacing. And yes, let's continue on. Let's add our next section because we're almost at 2 hours. But in university, it is normally 3-hour lessons that you have to sit through. So this is not too bad of time spending, I hope. Right, so the next section we're going to add is basically a snippet. Right, the subscriber part, and what we're going to do is let's put this section, and we're going to call this with a let's do it like this. Subscribe. We're going to call it this section with the class of subscribe, and then we're going to give it a container inside that, and inside this we're going to have a subscriber text. Inside that, I'm gonna add an h2, the class of normal. Inside that, do this h2 with the class of normal. Inside that, Do it like this. Right, so inside this, we're going to just put subscribe. And underneath it, we're going to put a p tag of consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, please. Thank you, would appreciate it. Like a stealth message. Okay, so what we're going to do is we got the container, and I'm just thinking what I'm going to do here. Yeah, let's do it like this. Text, I can display, because I want to display this as a flex. Let me just add another one called button. Just put another simple div. Inside this div, I'm going to have an a tag with a class of button and button. Inside it, I'm just going to put hash and subscribe now. Okay. What am I going to do? You know what? I'm going to remove the container. Just going to remove the container. You know what? Because I'm going to give it its own width and height styling as well. So let's do this, and I'm just going to put here subscribe. Subscribe section. Okay, so let's go to CSS. Let's go to the top. Just going to put X number 6. Subscribe. Snippet. Copy this. Go down to the bottom. We almost got about 300 lines of code already. Number 6. We're going to call this subscribe snippet. Nice. Okay, so let's quickly do the styling there. So I'm just going to do this very, very quick. Okay, so this one, we're going to choose the class of subscribe. I'm going to call it, give it a colorful. We're going to change the color now. Let's put it color white. Let's give it a white. I'm going to see if we need to change it anyways. And guess what we're going to do? Display flex. So this is a very, very good display flex exercise. Flex direction of row. And then align item center. And then justify content space between. Okay, I think that's it. Let's see how that looks like. Right, it looks like we forgot to add padding. Obviously the container class, we didn't add it, but we're going to add it manually. So let me quickly do that. So we're going to just say max, let's say width. We can actually say max width 1200 pixels, and we're going to give it margin 0 top and bottom, auto left and right to kind of center it automatically. And the next thing that we're going to do is just add some padding, just padding top and bottom. Okay, padding top and bottom, it's 4M, just to make it nice and big. Right, and 0 left and right. Why did I choose the calculator there? Okay, and 0 left and right. So let's see how it looks like. Okay, so obviously it didn't tie it right. I only see now that I spelled it off. That's from my Laravel authentication. Okay, so that will fix it, but the color, that color doesn't look very nice. Let's keep it, let's leave it at black. Just add some font weight. Font weight of 700. Okay, so let's see how this looks like. Refresh. And voila. You know what? Let me just see this. Let me just go in a bit. See, that's what's nice about this. We can actually just do it in here. So color of white. A bit bolder. So font size. Yeah, I think we need to make it a little bit bigger. But what you can do as well is if you can change it to rem units so that you can see it a little bit better. So we're going to make it 1.5. Make it 1.5. Okay, the font weight is all the way maxed out. Yep. Okay, so let's do that. 1.5, the font size. And font weight is fine. So let's go back. 900. And we're just going to change the font size to 1.5. Come on. Right, let's move on to the next section. Will be the portfolio section. This is the one before last. So I'm going to do this very quickly. Okay, so if you guys like the longer videos with more explanations and stuff like that, please let me know, because I kind of feel guilty for taking it so long to do the video. So hashtag portfolio. So this is the portfolio section. And inside that, we're going to add a container. This is just a short snippet. Inside that, we're going to add portfolio content, class of portfolio content. Inside that, we're going to do a section header. Okay. And inside that, we want to add an H2. Right, so let's do that. When we're going to type in here portfolio. And underneath that, we're going to add a horizontal rule. Underneath that, we're going to add some lorem text. Let's make it 80. Nice and long text. Enough words in there. Just going to put it name as portfolio. Okay. Right, so we've done that. Right, and now the next thing that we're going to add just underneath our div right here. Just underneath this. Because we're going to display this item as flags. Okay. So then we're going to have one flags item and obviously the rest. So the next item that we're going to use is all those, you know, the images that we have. So what we're going to do is put a class of portfolio images. You can name it whatever you want. And okay, so inside this we're going to have an image box. But inside the image box we're going to have image. Okay, so let's do it like this. See, there we got our one box, and here we got. So this is our portfolio images. Okay, and this one. Okay, so let's start. Right, so the first one, you remember the images that we got. So we're going to just do this img. Remember the images that we saved, and then we're going to just call this port F1. Okay, just say portfolio 1. You can actually give a more descriptive name on your alt text, because if the browser doesn't display the image, it will actually give you, you can actually have your alternative text right there. Okay, so I'm just going to do this 6 times. Yeah, let me just copy this down 6 times. Okay, let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Do this, just check. Alright, that's 1. just going to do this as 2. This one is 3. This one is 4. 5. Come on. Almost there, guys. Almost there. This one is 6. Okay, so we're going to remove this. Okay. Obviously need to do this as 2. Okay, I quickly have done that. So we got all our images. We list them in. So let's see how horrible it looks like on the website. So let's refresh. Okay, as you can see, all our images are in. Not very nice. Everything looks not nice. Okay, so let's quickly do our lovely styling in there. And yes, let's do that. Right, so the next thing we do is we're going to start styling. Okay, so portfolio. Right, let's go up to the top. And we're going to add another one, number 7. It's called portfolio. Portfolio, okay. So I'm just going to copy this part right here and move it all the way down. As you can see in your highlight section, you can kind of see the little comments that we made right there, these little comments. So we're just going to make it 7 and call this portfolio. Sorry about that. Okay, we got a storm brewing in this side of our country, so I kind of need to go this quickly before our power gets off. Okay, so we're going to give it a background color of white. And a min height of 60 view height, so it means more or less 60%. 60% of the screen width. Okay, so the next part that we're going to style is our portfolio content. So let's copy that. And guess what we're going to do is we're going to display flags. So, okay. So portfolio content we're going to display as flags. All right. And then my flags direction will be a row. And our padding will be 5 rem top and bottom, 0 left and right. And we're just going to give it a height of 60 view height as well. Gap. I'm just going to use the gap here so that you guys can see 3 rem. Okay, so let's quickly see how this looks like. So if you can see, we're going to go into our browser. You will see we got our, I'm just going to increase that font obviously. But as you can see, we displayed the flags. This is one flags item, and obviously the images is one flags item. Okay, so let's continue our styling. It's not there yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, so that means, as you can see, our portfolio content. Do this portfolio content and section header. We need to display it as a flex 1. So that means we want it to be equal width as the portfolio images. We're also going to do a flex 1. Okay, so let's do this. Let me just copy this down like this. This and add it like that. Okay, so then we got both of those display flex 1. Actually, let's do this a flex 2. We want this to be a little bit bigger. Okay. Now, in this one, we're going to display it as... Nope. No, not display as flags. We're going to display it as grid. Now, here we're going to do grid template columns of repeat 3 times 1 fraction. Okay. And then a gap, we're going to do 1 rem. Okay, so let's see how this looks like. And actually, you know what? The image box, let's quickly style that as well. Okay, so I kind of need to hurry at the moment. All right, so let's style our image box. image box will be background color. Actually, there's name colors. So goldenrod, as you can see right there. Let's do it this goldenrod. And we're going to position it relative. Okay. And then we're going to overflow hidden. Yeah, very nice. And then the next thing that we're going to do is the image box. Yeah, let me do this. Image box and all the images underneath it. Okay, so basically all the IMGs. We're going to position them absolute within the image box. Okay, so position absolute. We're going to tell them to object, but we want to tell them to cover the box. So basically fill it completely. We're going to want to tell that images to be a width of 100% and a height of 100%. Okay, and we want to tell that box as well. You know what? Any transitions in the images, what we want you to do is we want you to transform. Okay, we want you to transform 800 milliseconds is in. Okay, we want you to do that. All right, and then what we're going to do, we're going to tell the image box. The image box, you know what, when someone comes over you to hover, I want you to change all the images. Okay, so we want to transform you. See, that's why the transition is there, to transform you into scale. We want to make you 1.3 times larger. Okay, so that's done with the portfolio. So let's quickly see how that looks like. Refresh, and voila, guys, we did it, man. You see, we displayed them as a grid with a gap of 1 on top and bottom. So if we hover over our mouse, you can see the transitioning. You know what? Let's add a cursor now, but we don't want to add the cursors, make the user think that they can click on the images. Very, very nice. Right. So we display this as a flags and we display this as a grid. 3 rows of 1 fraction each. Very, very nice, guys. We're doing well. We're doing very, very well. Almost there. So the last thing that we need to add is our contact section. Okay, so let's move over to that. So let's go to this part, and then we're moving in lightning speeds now, boys and girls. Okay, so we're going to add a section with an ID of contact. As you guys probably can hear the thunder on my side. So container. So we add the container in there, and then we add a contact content. Right, and inside there we want to add obviously the section header. Inside there we want to add an H2. Okay, so we do this, and then we can just say contact us. Right, then we put horizontal rule in there, and then a paragraph. You guys kind of see the gist of what I'm doing. Right, so let's do that. I'm just gonna paste in and just do the you know what, just underneath this stuff. I'm kind of scared that the lightning will cut off our power here. Alright, so we put a div with contact input. Okay, right, and inside that we're going to have our email. There. Container. Right, let me just do this email container. Right, I'm trying to go very quickly, so I'll be right. So h2 class of normal class. Yeah, let's do this. Then we're going to say email us, please. Okay, then we're going to put input text, name is important for backend, and ID is important also for backend. Name, and we can place a placeholder in here of your name. Okay, so let's do this. Next one, we're going to put an email. Okay, so let's put a type of email. Let me just copy this and put an email as well, and say your email. Right, and the next part that we have is input of subject, input of text, name, subject, ID of subject, placeholder of subject. Right, and then we're going to do a text area. Oop, the storm is here. Right, so text area. Right, and then we're going to obviously add our submit button in here. So I'm just going to kind of do this very quickly. Okay, so let me paste this quickly in, just to kind of speed up the video as well. The need button. Okay, so I've just added this part in here. Okay, so let's see how this looks like. If we refresh, we have this little ugly thingamajig here, and we are just quickly going to style that as well. Okay, so very nice. So let's go to our VS Code. And add some styling. I think I might leave the video there, because I think I'm not going to have power very soon. All right, thank guys for watching. No. You know what? Let me continue. Even if I have to do this video over again, I have to 2 hours in. So let me just 2 hours and 18 minutes in. Right. Anyways, let's just continue. Let's continue. Because I still needed to show you the JavaScript and all the kind of stuff that you guys are here for. Cannot stop it here. Right, so let's add our last one here, is the contact. Okay, let's continue. Add the contact in there. So we add the page in here. Number 8, contact. Right, so what we have to do, let's quickly style our contact page. Alright, so the ID of contact, maybe the background color of white. Okay, contact content, contact content. So basically, the contact content is, where is it? This one right here. We're going to display obviously as flags. Okay, contact content. We're just going to give it a padding. We're not going to give it a flags. 0 forehand, top and bottom, 0 left and right. Okay, so then content input container, where is that? This one, content wrapper. We just want to select this, and what we want to do is want to display flex. Okay, then flex direction is a row, padding top, padding. Oh, the thunder is just beautiful, but not so nice if you if you're scared if you're gonna lose all your work. And then we're gonna just give it a gap of 0 and 5 for that. So let's see how this looks like so far. Alright, so basically what we've done, we got this far. We're giving a gap. I think I might just give this a different color background. Yep, let's do that. Background color of, let's say, DDD. Let's see how this looks like. Yeah, just to kind of break it up a bit. Just to look a little bit different. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. We're still going to change this font size there, but time is of the essence right now. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is the email container. Email container, where is it? This one right here. Okay, so we can do this. Email container, paste it in there. We're going to tell it, you know what, you're going to be a flex one. Okay, don't be naughty, and display flex as well, and flex direction column, okay, and then we're obviously going to give it some gap, 0.8 rem and 0. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this down and tell underneath all the inputs underneath that, and then in our email container we're going to give it a font size of 0.9 rem. Okay, we're going to give it padding right round of 0.5 rem, and we're going to give it a border 1 pixel solid. Need to give it, you know what, let's do this. Var, is this secondary color? Secondary color. I'm just gonna change this. Yeah, let's give it secondary color. I'm just gonna see how it looks like in a second. And then we're gonna give it a border radius of 0.2, just not too big. So let's see. Refresh. Right, as you can see, there is our form right there. Okay, our button is obviously very big, and this doesn't look very. So let's see. Content. This is our content. This is our section header. This is our input. We want this to be next to each other, so we obviously need to display this as one. So let's display this flex. Let's see. In flex direction row. Okay. So let's do this. Okay, so that's very nice. And I'm just going to, this is flex 1, and I'm going to make this one a flex 2. You know what? No, this is not right. Okay, I've changed up a few things, so I think I know what is wrong here. If we go back to VS Code, as you can see, what I've done here is I've accidentally included the paragraph tag in there. So it must just be the paragraph and the horizontal rule right there. And this part right here, the email container, it's kind of wrong. So this part right here needs to be outside. The visit needs to be outside the email container. So let's see how this looks like. As you can see, now it gets displayed next to each other. Okay, so we're going to change this to a flex 1 and this obviously to a flexed 1 as well, so that they take up even space. I've just added the border to the text area as well. Okay, so let's go back to VS Code and just change. Okay, so we added this, and now the visit container. Just gonna quickly change it. Okay, so basically we got our visit container. We're gonna just style quickly. So if we go in here, so if we add this visit container, okay, is we're going to call this also a flex of 1 so that it will take up even the width. And we're going to display flex direction of column, because we want all the items to be underneath each other, and we're going to give it a gap. Globe 0.8 rem. It works in Firefox, the gap, but if it doesn't work for you, just change it to a column gap and row gap. Okay. The next part we're going to do is the visit details. Right, so basically what we've done, let me just go back. So we got our visit container there. We've got an H2 there with a normal. Then we have our visit details right here with a detail icon. Let me just change this to like this. A detail icon, and inside the detail icon, I've added the font awesome icon right there, and obviously a paragraph tag with the text. And then I just copy it down a couple of times, and it's the same thing. So then we just change the details. Okay, then yeah. So let's do this and just go back. So the details, very simple as well. All we do is we're just going to display flags. The video is getting way too long right now, so I'm not going to do too much styling right now. And then the detail icon, what we're going to do is we give it a width of 2 rem and a height 2 rem. Okay. And then the color is obviously fine like it is. And the last one we're going to do is we're just going to add the watermark. Now, the watermark is this part right here that I've added with just the envelope and make it 10 times bigger. Okay. Looks. Yeah, I think I've got a custom style for that. So let me just quickly do this watermark. So yeah, padding 3 rem top and bottom, 3 rem top, 0 right, 0 bottom, 2 rem the left hand side. Okay, then we're just going to give it a little bit of opacity of 0.12. So it's very, very, very light. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. So as you can see, there it is right there. So let's zoom, it's 100. Okay. Right, so we got it nicely in there. So I'm not just going to change, I'm going to leave it like that. And obviously let's add our footer, the last part of our thing. So let's go back and add our footer in VS Code. So right here, we can just add our footer. Right, so what do we need? We need a footer with our ID of main footer. Okay, inside, no, let's just do it like this. Inside that, we're going to add a container. Inside this, add our footer content. Inside that, footer left. Let's do it like this. Right, so the footer left, just gonna do this, and then obviously we have a footer right. Okay, and then in the footer right, basically it's just gonna be social media stuff. But I'm not gonna fill that in. I'm just gonna call here social buttons, and you can add whatever buttons you want right there. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. Refresh. As you can see, we got our buttons right there at the bottom. Okay, so let's quickly go back to VS Code. So let's add some styling. Right, so our footers. Let's go to the top. Line. Footer. This was a long video. Thank you guys for watching and sticking out this long. You're doing well. And I'm just still going to show you how to display the data and obviously the JavaScript. So there, number 9. Footer. Okay, so this will be quick, so it's main footer. So here we're just going to change the background to hashtag 191919 and padding of 2 rem top and bottom, 0 left and right, and what we're going to do, color of white. Okay, footer content. We're going to display flex direction. We're going to call it the row. The whole reason for this video was actually to kind of reinforce the Flexbox. It's why everything is the way it is. Let's just go back to this. And as you can see, we got our items right here, but this needs to be flex. So let me just see what content. See if I made a mistake. I see what I've done. Okay, I was wondering what is going on. A class of with the. As you can see, I'm rushing now, so I'm making stupid mistakes. So this doesn't need to be here. Refresh, and as you can see, we got our social icons and buttons right there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add the JavaScript in, so to kind of make everything move, and then we're going to add our styling in there as well. Okay, so let's do that. So this is the part we've all been waiting for. I just want us to go back to the utility classes. Let's just go utilities. I just want us to add on top this item right here, sticky. Now we're gonna style this in a second, but I just want you guys to add this. Just add padding, position fix, width, and. Okay. So let's keep it like that. Right. So the next thing that we're going to do, go back to our browser. Now, as you can see, if we click feature, it just snaps to this part right here. If we click contact, it does the same. It just snaps. There's no quick, nice movement. For that, we're going to add some JavaScript to make it smooth scroll very nicely for us. So let's do that. Okay, so let's quickly do the JavaScript. Alright, so we're going to our JS and our app.js right here, and you can just copy basically everything that I'm writing down here, but I'm just gonna do it quickly. Right, so I've added the functionality in. So basically the nav bar is this main nav, but I'm just gonna select, you know what, selected by ID as main-nav. Do it like this. I'm just gonna change it here. Give it an ID main-nav. Alright, so basically what I'm doing here, I'm giving in JavaScript Windows on scroll this function, the scroll function. I'm calling this function. So this function is this function right here that I'm calling on scroll, and I'm calling this function right here. Right. So the nav bar that I'm calling, I'm giving a variable named nav bar. The document get element ID, main nav bar, so get element by ID, or you can get element by class name. But it's not a JavaScript lesson. But anyway, I'm just want to tell you guys what this is about. So this is the variable that I'm calling. So basically what I'm telling this is if the document scroll is less than 50 pixels from the top, okay, or is equal, or if the scroll is scroll to the top is also that, then what we do is we take this nav bar ID dot class list, then we add that sticky. See the sticky that we done in CSS. Basically what we're doing is we're telling this class name sticky, please add it here like this, sticky. So basically JavaScript will add this class with sticky right here. Okay. So if we start to scroll, and then when it's not, if it's standing still, please remove the class sticky like that. Okay. So I will explain this part right here in a second. Let's go to our browser. So as you can see, if we start scrolling, that's what happens. It adds the sticky right there. But that's not what we're looking for. But I will quickly fix it. It's mainly to do with our CSS. So that's sticky. I'm going to remove this. Remove that as well. Let's see. Padding. Let's see if this works. Alright, in order to fix this, I'm just going to add a nav container. Basically, underneath that, and I'll remove the container from the top part, because otherwise the black bar won't stretch across very nicely. So what I'm going to do underneath this, I'm just going to change the nav container. And what I will do is I'll just remove the flex item from there and move it in here, and this as well, and move it just into that container. Okay, so let's see how it all looks like. Alright, so easy fix. So what we've done is we're just going to change the top, left, and the width to 100%. Then we just added the nav container with the flex, direction, the items, the justify, and things like that in here. Okay, so in our app, so that now nav bar, it will add the sticky and remove the sticky. So let's see if it works now. So as you can see, if we scroll down, it adds the nav bar, the sticky part, the sticky class actually to the top right there. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is if we click on feature, it scrolls down very, very nicely to wherever we want it to move. Very nice. So that part right there, that's basically comes from our jQuery right here. Just this little part is we're going to use for jQuery. It basically found the $sign, the anchor tag that it's like on click. If this is the hash, blah, 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 if it's not equal to nothing. then it prevents the default. Now this is your this is creating a variable for the hash. So basically we call it the HTML and the body. So if we start to scroll, the hash symbol, basically if this pound symbol right there, it's going to scroll to this ID version right here, or the ID version right there. Okay, so that's all this. But anyway, this is not a JavaScript lesson, but I just kind of want to show you, this is the duration of the thing. So if you want to make it longer, so to scroll, let's make it short. Let's make it 200, just to show you guys. So you'll get there very quickly. So if you press that, you'll see it's very, very quickly it responds to that. But I kind of like it takes a little bit longer. So for me, I'm just going to, let's make it 800 so that you can see that. And if I refresh this and I press on portfolio, it just takes a little bit longer to get to this one right there. Okay, so on the contact, obviously it will scroll there, and the feature, it will scroll to the feature part, and the home, it will scroll to the ID on top, and the nav bar right there. Now the last part that we're going to add is we're going to add that data IOS, where if things just make it dynamic as we move in, the items kind of move in from the sides and the top part and bottom. Right, so let's quickly add that. Right, so what we're going to do now is in our JavaScript create a new file, called it AOS JS. Okay, just do that. And what we do is in our index file, we just go to the bottom part, and right above our app.js, we're just going to add the AOS.js right there. Okay, so inside here, what we're going to do is just we need to initialize our AOS file. In order to do that, what we need is we just need a few lines of code. I'm just going to copy and paste it for you guys. So offset the duration and obviously this the way it does it. Okay, so that is just to initialize it. Okay, so now let's quickly add those kind of properties to our document. Right, so the first one that we're going to do is we're going to start off on our home one. Let's go to our home section, this one right here, and then all we're going to do next to that is we're going to type in data AOS. Okay, so that's the property that we add. Then we're just going to tell it to fade up. Okay, so let's do that. Let's see how it looks like in the browser. If we refresh, you see it fades up. Very, very easy. All right, so let's continue with the rest of the other ones. All right, so the next one that we have is our header. So this one right here, feature content, and underneath it we got our header right here, and I want to say it data IOS, and basically we're going to give it a fade from the right. So okay, so we're telling it to come in from the right. The next one that we have, feature box, this one right here, then we're going to put a data AOS. We're going to tell it to fade in from the left. Okay, and then we're going to tell the next one to this one here, and we're going to call it data IOS. Tell it to fade also from the left. Okay, let's see how this looks like so far. So in here, refresh, so that fades in, and as you can see, it looks like this. See, and it fades nice in, and as you scroll up, it removes, Okay, very nice. So we just need to do these as well. Continue to this part, and the next one that we have, the card, we've got the box, we've got the subscribe. It doesn't need to do anything. In the portfolio part, we want to do is this portfolio content. What we want this to do is we want to data AOS, very, very, very easy, and we want this to fade up. Very, very easy. So basically the content, the container that you want, you basically can tell this container what you want it to do with the JavaScript library. See, all right, let's move on. And this is all part of that container. And last one, we also want to just add this to our content as well, data AOS, and we also want this just to fade up. Right, that brings us to an end of this lesson, guys. Thank you very much for watching and making it this far in the course. I really hope you guys liked it. If you do like it, please give it a like. If you don't like it, please give it a dislike. And yes, and for the future lessons, this is quite a bit intricate. There's a lot of things that I wanted to discuss and show you guys. That's why the video is so long. So obviously we can just make this a little bit lighter so that the text can show a little bit better, but we don't have the time for that. I wanted to show you how the fading effect, and I wanted to show you guys more about the flex system. And yes, and obviously some JavaScript to make your scroll bars a little bit nicer. So if you got that, and if you scroll down. But anyways, I'm enough taking of your time. Really, thanks for watching. Please give it a like if you like it, dislike if you dislike it. Some constructive feedback. Tell me if what I'm doing is right, or what do you think I need to improve for you guys. I really want to make it better for you guys and so on. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Single tree cannot make a forest. Remember that, guys. All together in this world. Come together, work together. Thanks for watching. Cheers. See you in the next one. Adios, amigos.